So I wrote this book called The Blackwood Conspiracy, and the way I thought this book up was I used to play Resident Evil a lot. I know it sounds kind of cliched, I guess, but like one of the things that inspired the whole thing was one little note in the first Resident Evil game. It was one with itchy, scratchy, tasty or whatever, but they had like this little story into it. I don't know, I just thought it was kind of intriguing. But I also really loved Resident Evil 2. Like I used to play that game like all the time. So I kind of incorporated kind of both stories into it, but kind of made it my own, of course. But they were kind of like an inspiration. But and there's also like Silent Hill and basically like all the games like the horror genre. I kind of incorporate into this one to be kind of like an homage to them. But what it's basically about is this guy who's trying to search for his daughter, and he looks for this psychic. She's based on a real psychic, Sylvia Brown. I believe I named her Sylvia White. But they end up going to Blackwood, which is supposed to be like this ghost town. Like there's nobody there because something happened, but no one knows what. So she like recalls the events and everything. So like it plays out kind of like the beginning of Blackwood, where it shows Patrick, kind of like the main antagonist. Him and Denise, that's the daughter that he's looking for, she comes up later. But the first half of the story kind of deals with what's happening with the town, these letters that are being sent to Patrick, and it's basically like he's reading this letter and like he's like seeing the events play out with the letters, and but it escalates. There's like this virus that happens, and there's people sick, and there's this doctor who thinks he's a quack and stuff. So basically, all those events happen, and it basically leads up to the second half of the book, which is about survival, and their nightmares come to life, and like all these monsters and giant spiders and stuff. Basically, everything that's like considered to be a nightmare all comes to life. So, and that's basically what the book is about: facing our own fears in this town, kind of like its own kind of Silent Hill, I guess. But like I said, I made it my own, and I made sure it's not connected to Texas because I put that into it as well. But yeah, it was one of the one of the first horror books I wrote. Might have been the only one I wrote. But now I've got the Marcus and Malak book, Halloween edition, and I'm writing this sequel to it that I don't have time to write, but I'll make it on this one. So that one hopefully will come out this Halloween or sometime. But that's kind of like my sequel to the Blackwood Conspiracy.